His transformation from a quiet, smart boy bung raised in a humble Jewish family in Brooklyn to a global acclaimed or is one of persistence, inventiveness, and ongoing innovation. At a young age, Allen demonstrated an remarkable sense of humor and a keen, frequently employing comedy as a defense and a resource to comprehend the intricacies of his surroundings. Ash started penning jokes as a teenager for radio shows and newspaper articles using the alias Woody Allen, indicating the start of his long-term career in amusement. Following graduation from Midwood High School, Allen went to school in New York University, but dropped out before finishing his degree. He never really had his heart in acting. His thoughts were continuously humming with tales, concepts, unthoughts on love, life, and the ridiculousness of human nature. In the course of he started writing for television in the 1950s. Comedy programs, rapidly acquiring renown for being among the most gifted and unique comedians in theater. His initial program development, like Your Story and The Ed Sullivan Show, here made a name for himself as a new humorous voice that combines neurotic, comedic depth of thought. During the 1960s, Woody Allen left the literary profession. Jokes for other people to make himself, starting a prosperous profession in stand-up comedy. His fashion sense was distinct for the time, reflective, intellectual, and self-deprecating. Hadn't used one-liners or slapstick. Rather, he elicited laughs from existential angst, uncomfortable social interactions, as well as philosophical reflections. His stand-up acts were full of tales pertaining to dating and psychoanalysis, and the vibrancy of New York life captivates spectators, and established the scene for his subsequent motion picture career. By the late Allen had gained notoriety in the 1960s for himself as a comedian as well as a budding screenwriter. As well as Woody Allen's innovation in cinema arrived with movies such as Take the Banana, 1971, and Money and Run, 1969, which demonstrated his unique fusion of jokes and societal criticism. These movies moved quickly, were jam-packed with sight gags, and highlighted by a keen knowledge of political and cultural life. But that was Annie Hall in 1977. It cemented his position in the film industry past. The movie with Allen and 4 Academy Awards were won by Diane Keaton, such as the finest film, the best director, and the most inventive screenplay. Hall transformed the genre of romantic comedies through the use of nonlinear narrative, researching and breaching the fourth wall psychology of contemporary partnerships. It is still among the most renowned movies of all time and is frequently referenced as a watershed in American filmmaking. In the 80s and 90s, Allen kept developing as an artist, changing from purely comedic to more films that are thoughtful and sophisticated. Works like Manhattan in 1979, the 1986 film Hannah and Her Sisters, Crimes and Bullets over 1989, and Misdemeanors Broadway, 1994 showed his ability to combine humor with deep philosophical inquiries concerning affection, religion, and human way. His characters frequently struggle with life's purpose, that its inevitable course, and the paradoxes in human desire. In spite of his neurotic and gloomy outlook, Allen's movies frequently have an undertone of humanity and hope, a conviction that laughter, love, and creativity can provide some comfort in a world that is uncertain. Allen's artistic creations have been remarkably consistent throughout his career. He has authored and directed more than 50 feature films, frequently owned nearly every year. His unique style, characterized by jazz and clever conversation-born environments, music, and moral self-reflection, has impacted generations of filmmakers, directors like Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach, and he has been mentioned by Wes Anderson as an motivation for his capacity to blend it for thought, reality, and comedy. In addition to his film career, Woody Allen is renowned as a musician and writer as well. His publications include anthologies of brief essays and stories renowned for their philosophical undertones and humor, and continues to perform as a clarinetist with his New Orleans jazz. His passion for jazz, particularly the Sidney Basher and Louise's music Armstrong, has always had an interest for and often reverberates throughout his movie soundtracks, adding to them coziness and longing. The private life of Woody Allen has been as intricate and captivating as his image, frequently reflecting the complex themes of emotion that permeate his movies. His marriages and relationships have generated a great deal of public interest throughout the years, each one reflecting many stages of his development as both a man and an artist. The first marriage of Woody Allen was he married Harlan Susan Rosen in 1956, when he was just starting off phases of his comedic writing career and entertainer. When that happened, Allen was a young man with lofty aspirations who had not but attained the notoriety that would subsequently describe his name. Harlan is only 17 years old, elderly at the time of their marriage, shared with him hardships of his childhood when he was doing stand-up in tiny bars, well as crafting jokes for TV series. But the marriage soon started to disintegrate under Allen's forced aspirations and his unrelenting commitment to his art. Their connection was made even more tense by Allen's scathing humor, which occasionally made its way into his public. He even cracked jokes regarding their reunion in his comedic performances, something according to reports Harlan found it really hurtful following 6 tumultuous years. that persevered in 1962. Additionally, even though Alan would become famous and achieve, his early union acted as a reminder of the challenges that strike a balance between artistic expression and personal intimacy. Ambition. After a few years, Woody Allen got married for the second time, this spending time with actress Louise Lasser. Howell later gained recognition for her contributions to the television show Mary from the 1970s. Hartman married a Purgaton married in 1966, when Allen's career was really taking off. He had started making his own movies, and his distinct style of neurotic comedy was sentencing viewers. Lasser showed up among Allen's earliest works. Among them are Bananas 1971, Take Their Run, and Money 1969, showcasing their both personal and professional effort. But in spite of their mutual synergy as artists, their marriage was not at all easy. Allen's perfectionism and a fixated attention to his projects frequently left limited space for emotional bond, whereas Lasser softened against the demands of being married to a fast-rising celebrity. The couple's passionate but erratic in 1970, the union ended in divorce, even if they continued to be on a reasonably decent terms later. At one point, Lasser said that Allen was a man who wouldn't stop making you laugh, wept, but who else made you feel that way? Could never get to him. Following the Woody Allen toward the conclusion of his second marriage, wouldn't get married again for almost 3 decades, even though his love life remained a major public concern. Fascination. In the late 70s and early 80s, he had enduring connections with a number of, including the actress Diane, his inspiration for movies like Annie Manhattan and Hall, and thereafter with Mia Farrow, an actress whom he shared connections on a personal and professional level. His collaboration with the Farrow resulted in some of his best-received movies. However, moreover, the partnership would terminate in one of Hollywood's most well-known and contentious scandals. In 1997, Sununi Previn was Woody Allen's wife, signifying a partnership that has endured both long-lasting and closely examined. Mia's adopted daughter, son Yandre Pri, a musician and Farrow, met Allen while he was still seeing someone Farrow. Their relationship was made public in Italy, 1990s, and sparked a fierce dispute because of their disparate ages. Ye was soon in his 50s, while Allen was in his early 20s. In addition to the peculiar family relationship, even though the public pro-media craze and their union has shown to be among the most reliable facets of Allen's private existence, they have stayed together for over 25 years. Frequently spotted together in movie celebrations, art exhibits, and public, mostly residing outside the Hollywood spotlight. Allen Hassanuni is often credited with bringing harmony and contentment into his existence, characterizing their relationship as genuine collaboration based on mutual understanding, humor, and respect. Following decades of gossip, conjecture, and innumerable public debates over their partnership, Woody Allen, who is currently 80, has at last shared information regarding the real reason for his connection to Diane Keaton, a partnership that has long captivated both Hollywood insiders and fans. The two were regarded for years as one of the most unusual but ideal in the entertainment matched pair. On television, their chemistry was indisputable, a careful balancing act between humor, susceptibility, and unsaid love. It made viewers wonder where fiction came to an end and reality took over. Presently, as he ages, Allen has decided to think honestly about what to him Diane Keaton meant, not just as a performer but also as a woman, both his art and his life. The disclosure made by Allen was less of a confession and more a gentle recognition of the strong emotional bond that he shared alongside Keaton. They started dating in the early 1970s when they met during the theatrical production of Play It Again. Allen was smitten with her right away. Quirky charm, her clever sense of, as well as her unrepentant indelity. I had never met somebody like Diane. He admitted she was absolutely you might laugh at her uncontrollably one minute and leave you pondering deeply the next. She wasn't aiming to impress anyone. She was only being Diane. It was this natural, unfiltered news that attracted him and ultimately influenced one of the best collaborations between artists in contemporary cinema. Their bond strengthened rapidly, moving from the stage to the silver screen, where their distinct dynamic was preserved in movies such as Sleeper, Love Manhattan, Death, and most notably Annie Hall. The latter would go towing numerous Academy Awards and establishment of their legacies. In the film, Cotton's depiction of the eccentric, charming Annie was so sincere that viewers frequently believed it to be an autobiographical function. People are always I believed I had written Annie Hall for Diane. Allen thought. However, the reality is that I penned it with her in mind. The muse was her. Each sentence, each uncomfortable pause, each touch of humor, it all came from knowing her. However, in spite of the romantic undertones that were present around their, Allen was quick to clarify the partnership, that their bond went beyond common definitions. Despite dating briefly, their friendship blossomed into something far more profound, a lifetime friendship based on respect for one another and comprehension. There was never any enmity between. Allen answered quietly, despite the fact that even after the affair ended, I continued to admire. Diane possessed a unique talent for making you at ease with who you are. She didn't expect flawlessness, and she never made an effort to alter me. She agreed individuals, just as they were. That he pointed out that acceptance was among their greatest presents to him, both artistically and personally. As time went on, Alan and Keaton's long-lasting friendship remained a origin of fascination. Couples in Hollywood frequently get estranged after separations, but the pair kept intimacy that was unexpected. They helped one another through victories as well as scandals. Additionally, even as despite their divergent paths, they never lost make contact. To Alan, Diane has always had my back. Exposed. Even when the world changed, she never turned her back on me. That sort of loyalty is uncommon. Why Alan's contemplation that is so potent at this point in his life is more than just sentimentality. It belongs to him. Recognizing the emotional anchor Keaton supplied during his turbulent as age, notoriety, and controversy in his world, she continued to be a continuous reminder of the purity and inventiveness that characterized his prime years. Diane possesses a timeless quality, he thought. She continues to chuckle in the same manner. 50 years ago she did. She continues to ward hose absurd caps. She continues toying surprised. Finally, for Alan, candidly, his feelings for Keaton was both necessary and cathartic. He acknowledged that he spent a large portion of his life avoided talking about their relationship, in specifics out of consideration for her privacy despite his personal unease with sentimentality. However, he claimed that time has a way of freezing old behaviors. You're my age, begin to understand how few individuals actually make an impression on you. He admitted it. Diane added, she improved my writing, a superior director and in some odd way, a better individual. For many years, Glenn Corbett was a friend of Woody, always had this air, Alan continued, of secrecy surrounding his connections. Yet when he mentioned Diane, it was evident earnestness in his gaze. She brought color into my world of black and white. He informed me each time she entered everything felt lighter in a room. That didn't say that about anyone else. As Alan considers almost 90 years of life and an unmatched profession, his Diane Keaton's remarks stand out as possibly his most sincere and passionate admission. They were never a traditional pair, and maybe that's why their relationship lasted so long. They didn't require definitions or labels. They merely connected at that moment. Not even fame or circumstance could erase it. If I were to pick only one individual who genuinely Alan decided that if it understood me, it would be Diane. Diane at all times. Their narrative, a combination of friendship, love, and artistic liberation, still one of Hollywood's most lasting traditions.